News channel after news channel after news channel. Ever wonder why they report the same news? This is Wake Up America.
Brought to you by Citizen Stringer.
The media has become absolute lunacy. What makes us different? We just tell the truth. Daily headlines, politics, social issues, focusing on headlines that the mainstream media ignores. Conservative to the core and honest, sometimes to a fault. Unapologetically American. Welcome to Wake Up America with your host, Stephen Oatley.
All right, what's going on? How you guys doing? My name is Steve. The show is called Wake Up America, and just in case you guys were curious, I can give you an update when my computer's not being stupid. I can give you an update on it's being dumb. Hopefully it doesn't lag out. Don't know. It's these stupid Windows. It's just not working for some reason. It's not allowing me to switch. All right. So if you're looking for an update on the Congressional baseball game, because it's not like we have a little crisis going on in the United States, let's just pretend that's not going on and go ruin the only sport that's left. And the camera keeps zooming in on Nancy Pelosi's ugly mug, as you can see here. Republicans are winning 4-0. Joe Biden just showed up, and everybody went, woo, for Joe Biden just for a second. Yes, the Republican side did boo. But I'll have that, and I'll keep showing it periodically through the night. And then if you have a Citizen Stringer membership, you may get to see a little bit of it. Someone's calling me while I'm doing the show. Probably not the best idea. Just saying, I have sound, right? You guys hear me? But anyway, someone said no notification. Yeah, it's because we're shadow banned. You likely won't get a notification. But just in case you didn't know, this show is sponsored by Spartan Armor Systems. I put that up too high, didn't I? But you could visit SpartanArmorSystems.com and use code YEET and get 10% off your body armor order. They're a company based out of Arizona, I believe, and Tucson, I want to say, but they make some of the best body armor you could ever have. I'll show it in the new studio, which I'm going to be broadcasting out of on Monday. So I'll have it all set up. Some of the stuff is already over there. I've been moving stuff back and forth, and it's taken a lot. But make sure you check out SpartanArmorSystems.com and use code YEET for 10% off your body armor order. All right. So some people said they got notifications, so that's good. Anyway, I've got a ton of news that I'm going to talk about. I'm going to be live on social media for a second of it. In case you didn't know, YouTube has issued new guidance today, basically saying you cannot talk about COVID. If we are to talk about COVID on social media and we cite our opinions, which our opinions don't align with their opinion, therefore they will ban us. You're not, based on the new YouTube guidelines, you cannot talk about any adverse reactions with the COVID vaccine. You can't talk about the COVID vaccine unless it's positive. And there's just so much stuff you can't do anymore now on social media. And nobody's going to come in and be like, hey, you can't do that, YouTube, because it's literally they are the arm of social media. They are the arm of the government. If anyone had any doubts about it, go back a month ago. Jen Psaki said in White House press conferences that they've been meeting with the big tech CEOs to get them to push this message. What better way to get them to push the vaccination messages by simply just saying, hey, guess what? You're not allowed to talk about anything else. So that's a new YouTube thing. So you may have seen on YouTube, I've deleted all of my old videos, all the way up until early last year, all of them. And he mentioned, basically, I went like this. The COVID vaccine was released in December of 2020. So every video that I took from December 2020 on, gone. And then I just went ahead and deleted a lot from last year too. I said, I'm not even gonna mess with this. I'm not gonna give them a chance to take it down. And unfortunately, that's the world we live in, where you can just be censored and they can just set, these rules, and there's nothing you could do about it. That's why it's super important for you guys all to know. I should have made a button for this because I made one for Spartan Armor Systems and I made one for Just CBD, but I didn't make one for the website we own, which is citizenstringer.tv. What I'm going to be doing at the end of every show, Monday through Thursday this week, because Friday we are going to National Stadium to watch the Red Sox beat up on the Nationals, hopefully. And I'll be honest, I almost wanted to cancel and not go just because Joe Biden was in that stadium today. And I'm like, I don't even want to be anywhere near that person, but I'm still going to go. I haven't seen the Sox in years. So I'm not going to be doing a live show Friday. Saturday, I have to go to Richmond. May do a live stream on the way back. I'll make sure the live view is packed just in case I do decide to do that. But that'll just be me on the road, just like usual. And then Sunday, we're moving into the new office. And so I'll be broadcasting out of there on Monday, in which I'm excited for. Anyway, let's jump into some of the news. So that pretty much just handles the housekeeping so far for the day. We're not going to be talking about COVID on social media at all during this show at all. So if you want to hear what I have to say regarding that, there may be some nights that I stay live on Rumble, but likely I'm just going to end all the live feeds and go right to Citizen Stringer. And the reason is because they pay to listen. They've been supporting us since the beginning. And so have you guys on social media. I'm not trying to throw you under the bus, but these, all the members on Citizen Stringer TV, citizenstringer.tv, which was formerly ptnn.tv. They're amazing. And I want to do what I've said I'm going to do for a long time. This week was just nuts. This week, in terms of everything, it was just nuts. I don't even know another way to describe this week other than just completely and utterly batshit crazy. We had 2 days of congressional hearings on the withdrawal from Afghanistan where the people that you would expect that we'd get some information from, Lloyd Austin, General McKenzie, and General Milley, the 3 people responsible besides Joe Biden for what happened, Jake Sullivan wasn't there, but the 3 main people that are responsible for what happened in Afghanistan, they didn't actually talk about it that much. They talked about certain things. They talked about how it was apparently Milley stood by his statement today that the Americans killing innocent civilians, including 7 children, was still righteous. He still says it's a righteous strike. He said that today. You can't even make this up. Like our news cycle now, this would be something that if you were watching the worst movie possible ever, and you're sitting there and it just has some things that keep you engaged, but and everyone's watched a movie like this where you sit and you're like, man, this movie sucks. And you can't turn it off because you're just waiting for the next thing. But you're like, God, this movie really, really sucks. That's what our life is in America. Right now, that's what it is. There's not a lot good going on. We have all these congressional hearings, and it seems that the senators are more apt than they're more focused on simply making a viral video on Twitter. You know what I mean? Just getting that perfect soundbite so it can be manipulated so it looks like, they went extremely hard on General Milley. Not really. I didn't see. There were so many missed opportunities for a question. I forgot who the one senator was, but he was asking Milley about the book where he apparently in the book he classifies Newsmax and I don't remember. Epoch Times. He classifies them as terrorist organizations that were responsible for what happened on January 6th. Allegedly, he wrote this in the book that was published online or that they've been promoting. Now, a Republican congressman asked him about the conversation that was relayed in the book. And he said, basically, General Milley, according to this book, according to conversations with Bob Woodward said that you had a notebook where you said the people that were responsible for January 6th were the Trump supporters, were the Oath Keepers, and they were the... and then Epoch Times and Newsmax supporters of those 2 outlets as well. And General Milley's response to that was not that, no, I don't have a notebook. That's not true at all. He's like, well, I just don't remember that conversation. I don't remember that conversation. I don't remember that conversation. I don't remember that conversation. That's it. That's all he said. And the Republican, he asked one time towards the end, he's like, well, do you have a notebook where you said that? And General Milley goes, well, I don't recall that conversation. Basically saying, yeah, I had a notebook. Yeah, I said Newsmax was a terror organization along with Epoch Times. Nobody pressed him on it. And then you had the guy Smith, the Congressman Smith, that just kept I've never watched a congressional hearing like that. Ever. Where they consistently, basically... A Republican asks questions. Milley answers the questions until they run out of time. And then Smith gives his rebuttal. And literally gives his rebuttal. They were arguing over quotes with Stephanopoulos, with Joe Biden the other day, Stephanopoulos. And do you remember that quote? We talked about it. If you watch today's show, you know, and I don't have the quote handy, but Stephanopoulos was saying, hey, did any of your military advisors, and we already know from the hearings that the military advisors did tell Joe Biden that they recommended 2,500 troops stay in Afghanistan. They didn't recommend that he pull out the troops. And we already know that. Some of them said that. They went back and forth for a long time about what a quote means to them, even though it says something completely different. So to Republicans and anyone with common sense, you know, if Joe Biden says, no one told me anything about it, you know, that no one recommended that we leave 2,500 troops in there. And Stephanopoulos is like, hey, listen, we know because we have whistleblowers that say you were told, you know, to keep 2,500 troops. And Joe Biden says, no, nobody did that. Nobody did that. Nobody did that. Turns out that that's patently false. We know that. But this senator kept today just arguing with him and saying, no, it's correct. It's correct. It's correct. Oh, wow. $50. Thank you, bro.
Great show. Thanks for the hard work.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Lewis. So I think he went to F-Antifa, f-antifa.live. That's the way you can support the show if you want to tell big tech to themselves. Because if you give through YouTube Super Chats, which I'm not, you know, you could still do that, they take about 30%. So you're supporting big tech when you do that. If you give through Facebook, I don't even know what their breakdown is because they're not transparent about it. So sometimes if you spend $5, you get what? You know, 300 stars or 250 stars, which means they make like 50% because each star I get a penny. So, and even with Twitch and all that stuff, they all take a percentage of it. So I'd much rather, if anyone wants to contribute, go to f-live or f-antifa.live. Someone else type that in the chat for me, f-antifa.live, and support me through there because, well, you know, and pretty much for every time you contribute there with a credit card or Cash App or Venmo or anything, Antifa literally cries because you're donating through a website that's built just to troll them completely. But it's just, this whole thing is nuts. You know, the fact that we had all this stuff going on all day for 2 days, all these congressional hearings about Afghanistan, and we didn't learn anything about Afghanistan. I literally watched Drinking Bros podcast for half an hour today, and I learned more because Tim Kennedy was on it. I learned more through that one podcast than we learned in, how many hours? 10 hours? 12 hours of congressional testimony? It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. They don't care. The way the government right now, they don't care. And I've said this a million times, but they just don't. They don't. And if you didn't know, now you know. But let me just break into some of the other news stories. So that's a big one. Yes, the congressional ball game is going on right now. It's worthless. Republicans are up 4-5 because, get this, the Democrats were stealing basis. But still, they steal just like they do in real life. They steal. And I have that game up too, and I'll probably show a little bit while we do the rant at the end of the day. Republicans are at bat, I believe. I don't even care. It's ruining baseball. Like, that's the one sport we have left. Stop. Like, stop. Don't even play it. You guys are all sellouts. That's my humble opinion. Actually, Democrats are up at bat right now. I thought Stube was going to take off that guy's head, but he didn't. But yes, Joe Biden came down. They paused at the bottom of the second after the Republicans had a 5-run inning. And then Joe Biden gets down there and he's like, everyone loves me. Stevie Marley with $100 through through f-antifa.live.
F-Antifa F Biden. Thanks for keeping it real, Steve.
There you go. You can also type a message. So that's the beauty of it too, and it'll read your message. So I think you have to do $5 for it to read a message. I'm not sure. And that, again, the Democrats are going to, I swear, if we lose in the congressional baseball game, I'm going to lose my mind. I think that'll be the tipping point because now they're up. Now I think the Democrats are now up 6-5. Yeah, they scored 2 runs in that. This fucking game. It's pointless. Pointless. So let's talk about some of the news. Let's talk about, here's an article that comes out of Conservative Brief. Pelosi adds provision a $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill that could see fines of up to $700,000 for small businesses. If any small business owners had any doubt whatsoever in your mind that that Democrats were out to literally shut you down, well, here you go. In what could be one of the biggest single greatest displays of federal government power in history, Joe Biden has a plan, and his plan is about how to punish companies who do not require their employees to submit to a vaccine mandate. In the 2,465-page Build Back Better bill now being debated in Congress, there's a vaccine enforcement mechanism that could see companies fined up to $700,000 for companies who do not mandate their employees get vaccinated against COVID-19. The Daily Mail, why they're the first ones to report anything on our government, I have no idea, but they reported. The increased fines on employers could go as high as $70,000 for a serious infraction and $700,000 for willful or repeated violations, a sum in which can be applied in each instance of a violation rather than a total limit. If this Build Back Better plan, it's the death of small businesses. That's what it is. It's the death of small business. It would rapidly cause businesses to have to file bankruptcy if they're trying to protect their employees' First Amendment right, or freedom of choice. I mean, God, so stupid. It comes after the Occupational Safety and Health Administration published an emergency COVID-19 rule in the Federal Register this summer, which added COVID-19 to a list of possible workplace hazards for healthcare employment. Speaker Nancy Pelosi has not yet announced when the House will vote on the reconciliation bill that includes a new vaccine enforcement mechanism. Biden first announced that companies with 100 employees or more must enforce vaccine mandates or weekly testing policy or face fines. He also said that those who work in the healthcare industry and those companies that receive medical payments for Medicare or Medicaid must be vaccinated, and that all federal employees have to be vaccinated. As it stands, businesses that violate the rule can be fined up to $14,000, but the proposed fines in the nearly $3.5 trillion reconciliation bill could jump those fines all the way up about 10 times higher. So that's only a small one, because now they want to do a VAT tax, so a highway usage tax for everybody. I think it's 8 cents per mile or some shit like that, 8 cents per 1,000 miles or something. But they want to impose yet another tax, and this is separate from all the gas taxes and all that stuff. This is in the bill as well, where if you commute to work, and it's not even to work. I believe it's just miles. You're going to now have to pay a tax on your mileage, regardless of where you're going. And that adds to another fiscal burden for small trucking, because now you're going to have to pay an additional tax. You already got the highway use tax and all that stuff that you got to pay quarterly, after taxes and all that stuff. You got to do that anyway. Now they're trying to add another tax, which is in direct, it's the direct opposite of what Secretary Buttigieg said in March, where he said they had no plan to put some highway use tax. I mean, oh my gosh. I don't know what the end game is. I really don't. I don't understand why they're doing it. I don't understand the purpose of it, except if they're just literally trying to destroy a country. I no longer think it's about beating the other party into submission. I think they're literally just trying to destroy our country. I don't think they have any other intention of anything else. Now, it goes beyond the government too, because there's so many people that are out there that are just completely bonkers. Take Jennifer Nuzzo, Dr. Nuzzo. She's a principal investigator, senior scholar at Johns Hopkins Center for Health and Security. She recently took to Twitter. She's an ardent, whatever. She's a very, it's been a long day. She's a big vaccine supporter, okay? But she recently took to Twitter and wrote something that, let's you guys be the judge. What do you think about this? Trump supporters believe they are owning the left by refusing to take life-saving vaccine. In a country where elections are decided on razor-thin margins, does it not benefit one side if their opponents simply drop dead? Do you understand how batshit crazy our country has gone right now? This is a doctor. This is a doctor who leads the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security. And she's not a slouch either. If you go to her profile, she's a senior scholar at the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security and associate professor in the Department of Environmental Health and Engineering and the Department of Epidemiology at the Johns Hopkins Bloomberg School of Public Health. As an epidemiologist, I can't say that word today. I'm tired. Here, look. I'll just do this. Bam. So you can see it's over here. Dr. Nuzzo's work focuses on international and domestic biosurveillance, infectious disease diagnostics, and disease mitigation strategies. She also worked on issues related to the Affordable Care Act, tuberculosis control, foodborne outbreaks, and water security, and advised national governments and nonprofit organizations. Prior to joining the center, she worked as a public health epidemiologist, whatever that fucking word is, excuse my language, for the city of New York, where she was part of the city's waterborne risk disease assessment program. In other words, she's a liberal, and she's calling for the death of Republicans. Now, this has happened a lot. Okay, she's not calling for the death. Let me walk that back. She's not doing that. She's saying, I don't understand why we're trying to force a vaccine on people when literally, they'll die. Right? That's the whole argument. But then, common sense kicks in and we realize that's not going to happen. And so that's why they're doing it. But it's crazy. There's so many of these cases. Like we talked about the guy that was running for Congress out of California that wanted to shoot everybody in the gut. There was another one I just saw a few minutes ago where someone else was threatening to shoot people. Oh no, sorry. That was shooting police. He's a teacher, by the way, third grade teacher named Hayden Heller. He's a third grade teacher at a college prep elementary school in California, and he has a series of troubling and violent posts that should be brought to attention. This post comes from Tyler Hansen on Twitter. You can follow him at Taylor USA or Taylor at Taylor USA. Anyway, this this fucking dude, this guy right there, yeah, that's a picture of all his school children, I guess, to prove that he's a teacher. He says, just normal messages for teachers, right? Like, kill your local police chief. Yeah, that's posted on his Twitter page. He writes under an alias, but he's got all sorts of pictures of his kids, all the people he teaches. And then he's got another PSA here. If you have an odd collection of Pokemon cards that are gathering dust, I will happily redistribute them to my second grade students for you. With these asshats who are price gouging a effing children's card game, it's almost impossible for my students to find and afford cards. So any oldies out there want to make their day? I only have a few weeks of school left, so hit me up if you want to make a group of 7 to 8-year-olds hyped as fuck just to prove that he's a teacher. But this dude's a nutbag. He posts pictures of Howley like this. That's apparently acceptable. Saying he's a Nazi and that he should eat a giant bowl of human excrement. And then when you're done with your first helping, head on back and grab another bowl to shovel down your throat, you brown-nosing F. That's mine. He glorifies shootings of Ashley Babbitt, humanitized. Fuck, I can't talk today. It's what happens when I've been working since 6 in the morning. My brain's done. Dehumanizes anti-vaxxers and oftentimes makes references to private parts. And it's all on the same Twitter where he posts nice little photos of his third grade students. Some of them say, I'm not even going to read the Ashley Babbitt ones. I don't even want to. I encourage you guys all to read it. His Twitter is full of violent rhetoric, and he uses the account for hate, but also to share pictures and videos of his students. Now, apparently he works for, and the reason why I'm doing this is because he's a scumbag. And apparently he works for a school, and it's a charter school called Ames College Prep Elementary School. And he's listed as a teacher on that page. Unless he's been taken down. I haven't really looked. But unless he's been taken down, he's listed as a teacher. I forgot what his name was now. Trying to see. I don't know where he is. Let me see. Hayden? Let me go up. It's been a long day, dude. Hayden Heller. So let me just find it. Hey. Yeah, third grade teacher. He's listed there on their website. Everyone can see. Right there. This is unbelievable. These people are unbelievable. They're the ones who are teaching our kids. They're the ones who are teaching our kids. I just got like super annoyed by it. Super annoyed. Also, if you didn't know, a North Carolina-based hospital system announced Monday that roughly 175 of their unvaccinated employees were fired for failing to comply with the organization's mandatory coronavirus vaccination policy, which is the latest in a series of healthcare dismissals over coronavirus immunizations. Novant Health. Now, you may remember Novant Health because they have a hospital in Charlotte, and we went down to those protests and covered those anti-force mandate protests with two different Saturdays or Sundays. I don't remember what day it was, but I drove all the way down to Charlotte. We covered the event and then drove all the way back. Novant Health said last week they had 375 unvaccinated workers across 15 hospitals and 800 clinics who had been suspended for not getting immunized. Forget vaccinated. Unvaccinated employees were given 5 days to comply, and apparently 175 of them didn't and were fired. Novant Health spokeswoman Megan Rivers told the Washington Post that more than 99% of the system's roughly 35,000 employees have followed the mandatory vaccination program. She said in a statement that Novant Health was thrilled those who chose to be vaccinated had given patients and visitors. You're thrilled? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Unbelievable. Now, Rivers tweeted that almost 200 of the suspended workers, including those who had submitted approved exemptions, received their first dose on Friday. The hospital confirmed that the rest of the suspended employees who did not comply were fired, although the exact number of those dismissed were not specified. So they're just like bragging about it. Rivers tweeted that almost 200 of those suspended workers, including those who had submitted approved exemptions. So they did the same thing United did, United Airlines, where they said they gave them exemptions, they approved the exemptions, and then they laid them all off. Are you awake yet? Are you awake? I was going to talk about some other stuff, and frankly, I don't even want to. It's just disgusting. Here, let's talk about the Border Patrol, right? Because they were in the news so much, not good things, you know. And they weren't in the news for all the good that they were doing down at the border. No, they were in the news for a fake whipping story. And now that the border crisis is over, so is that whipping story. It was all over the news, right? It was geared just to to stop paying attention to what was going on at the border. Now that all the Haitian immigrants have been released into the United States, 14,000 of them, not all of them, 2 or 3,000 were actually sent back to their country. But 14,000 of them estimated were released into American streets with a promise to show up for a court date. They don't even have a court date yet. Lewis, thank you. Tip 50 again.
Pure blood for life.
Yeah, I know what that means now, but I'm not going to talk about it because I can't because I'm on social media. But Border Patrol is in the news again. This time, U.S. Customs and Border Patrol agents have been put on official notice by the Biden administration that they must be fully vaccinated against the COVID-19 by November 1st or face being fired, according to a whistleblower who sounded the alarm to House Judiciary Committee ranking member Jim Jordan in Ohio. The people who have been busting their tails, enforcing our law, doing their job on the border, now they're going to get fired if they don't take the vaccine, Jordan told Fox News' Laura Ingraham. Jordan pointed out that the migrants entering the U.S. illegally are given the choice as to whether or not to be vaccinated against the coronavirus, saying that's a double standard. That's how ridiculous the Biden administration has become, Jordan said. The purported deadline for Border Patrol agents to get the vaccine comes as DHS struggles to manage the ongoing crisis at the southern border. And Republicans warn that terminating agents over President Joe Biden's vaccine mandate for federal workers could not come at a worse time. In a letter to DHS Secretary Alejandro Shipbird Mayorkas, Jordan and Immigration and Citizenship Subcommittee ranking member Tom McClintock from California accused the Biden administration of now openly targeting the heroic men and women of the U.S. Border Patrol with the threat of pink slips. The congressman noted that recruiting and hiring Border Patrol personnel has been a difficulty for several administrations due to the tough work it involves, and argued that Biden administration is only exacerbating the problem. saying it's simply unbelievable that the Biden administration would allow COVID-positive illegal aliens to surge across the border, but will terminate dedicated law enforcement officers who do not comply with the President Biden's mandate, said Jordan Ann McClintock. The pair told Mayorkas, "We hope that for the safety of our country that you see the error in this decision and choose to support the heroes of the CPB who put their lives on the line every day and find reasonable accommodations for CPB officers who do not choose to comply with this mandate for personal or medical reasons." Now, Fox News is the one who wrote this article, and they reached out to DHS to try to get a comment from them, and they were told to F off, and they didn't get a comment. But that brings us to the next segment of the day. Have you ever felt down because you read the news and you're not sure what to do and it's keeping you up at night because you can't sleep? Well, check out justcbdstore.com, because not only do they make incredibly colorful gummies that stick together if you leave them in your truck too long when you're driving and you stay overnight, so you bring CBD so you can sleep, and then you forget to take them out of your truck, and then it kind of all turns into one, but they're delicious and they're great. So you can visit justcbdstore.com. I'm a user. They have the gummies, which are 10 milligrams. I think you can get a smaller one. And they also have vape juice as well there. And here's a huge discount. Huge discount. See down below, it says justcbdstore.com. If you use your code, my code, Citizen20, Citizen20, you get 20% off your order. The affiliate sales that we get from them, the revenue that we get, the commissions, help us pay all the bills and everything that we're doing. And so please check them out, justcbdstore.com, and use code Citizen20 for 20% off your order. Oh, what's next? We already talked about pilots, but this is a new article out of ABC. Pilots have warned that vaccine mandates could... Every story, we said we're not going to talk about COVID, but every single story that I selected has to do with COVID. Go figure that one out. The unions representing American and Southwest airline pilots are asking lawmakers and the White House for an exemption or an alternative to get federal mandate requiring companies with more than 100 people to get vaccinated. Roughly 30% of American Airlines pilots are not vaccinated, according to the Allied Pilots Association. Well, isn't that weird? Because that's the second time today we heard a percentage of a group of people that, you know what, guys, I don't want to censor myself. I don't want to censor myself. Go to Citizen Stringer if you want to watch the show. I'm cutting it, and unfortunately, I can't leave Rumble up either. But I want to be able to freely talk, and unfortunately, I can't do it on social media. I'm just not allowed to. They'll take down the platforms that we have, and you know, that's how we get the message out to everybody. So unfortunately for everybody, I'm cutting all my social media feeds right now, and I'll be live on citizenstringer.tv. All right. Go to citizenstringer.tv, because I got a rant. I can't do it and sissyfoot around right now. I can't do it. Go to citizenstringer.tv. And guys, after my show's done at 10 o'clock, about 10:15, the entire show is available for free on Citizen Stringer TV. You could watch. You don't even need an account. But I can't do this right now. I need to be able to vent and talk the way I want. So I'll see you guys on Citizen Stringer in just a second. citizenstringer.tv.